Okay. I know I'm really far behind on toy and model kits and stuff. And, there's a lot of stuff that I have to go through. I've already recorded a lot, but my Light camera broke, so I'm stuck with my cell phone, which is half broken. But, I have a bunch of those videos to do, and I do have actually paranormal videos I still want to do. I haven't gotten around to, but I just haven't had motivation. I mean, between allergies and a whole bunch of other stuff, I just don't have time. Technology breaking down doesn't help either, but, well, there's that. And like paranormal videos, I mean, the whole point of me making those was to not have to repeat myself. Like, I meet somebody new, we're talking about paranormal stuff, and I'm repeating the same events over and over, and it got really tedious. It got tiresome. And, it's not just that, though. It's like, for instance, I'm at work, and we get a newbie in, and one of two things happens. It's like, they start talking about the paranormal, even if we're not talking about the paranormal at all, which is weird, and it's happened so many times, it's retarded. And the other thing is they start talking frisky stuff. And like frisky stuff, the paranormal is, well, like I said, it's annoying because you're repeating the same stories. So it really sucks when I have to do the same thing for sexual stuff as well. And that's what this video is. I'm going to be talking about stuff that's sexual that I find myself repeating over and over and don't feel like doing anymore. Now I can just be like, this is my channel, this is the video, that's where I am with that. So, I'm going to be talking about the pee hole. And I'm going to be talking about the butthole. And I'm going to be talking about cervixes. Yeah, the cervix. When it comes to the pee hole, okay, I'll just jump right into it. I was online years ago talking to a girl. And it's like, we were doing the normal things you do on IMView and stuff like that, pictures, text, video, just pretty much having fun, And at some point, she got cool with me, and she's like, I'm a virgin and stuff, and I'm like, oh. And she goes, there's one thing that kind of worries me when I do finally have sex. I'm like, what's that? And she's like, I'm afraid I'll be there getting taken care of by some guy, and I'm going to pee on him. I'm going to squirt on him. And I'm like, that's a valid concern, I suppose, I go, but it doesn't happen as often as you think, And she's like, yeah, but I'm still just self-conscious about it. I'm still got that anxiety that will happen. I go, well, you might have that happen, or you might have the fun one happen. And she's like, what do you mean by the fun one? And I go, well, you could possibly pee all over him. It's not a deal breaker. I mean, if anything, a guy's like, haha, I messed this chick up so bad that she actually peed, I mean, some guys might be freaked out by it. Others who have a little bit of empathy in their soul would just be like, aw. Or they could squirt, the normal squirt stuff, and who gives a shit, same thing. And I go, but you could also do a cervical squirt too. And I got her going, huh? I'm like, I mean, you might have the squirt that's not gross. And she goes, no, it's all gross. It's all pee. And I'm like, what? Now, at this point, I'm thinking that her problem with what I'm talking about is that female ejaculate, when they squirt, is pee. That's not what the problem was. The problem was where she thought it was coming from. She goes, no, all squirting is pee. And I'm like, oh, hell no, it's not. And I'm trying to be nice and stuff. I'm talking to a virgin. I'm trying to, not be rude about it, but she's being insistent. And she's like, look, you squirt, you're peeing. I'm like, no, not always. And she goes, hello, I'm 21. You sit down on a toilet, you pull down your pants, you pee out your vagina. And I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, pardon me, what did you just say? And she goes, you pee out your vagina. I'm like, no, you pee out your pee hole. And she goes, no, you pee out your vagina. That's where pee comes from. And I'm like, oh, dear God. No. And I try to be funny. I send her this picture, which I've sent other people before, virgins, when they don't know anatomy. You know, I just try to goof with them and scare them a bit. I'm surprised I saved that. But you know, I bring it back into seriousness. I'm like, are you telling me that you don't pee out your pee hole? And she goes, pee hole in your vagina. I'm like, no, above your vagina. She's like, what? No, you pee out your vagina. I'm like, no, you don't. And she goes, look, again, 21, female, know my own body, hello? I'm like, you might have missed just one thing. And it was hopeless. She got pissed off at me. She's like, oh, fuck you. She runs off. And my avatar's just sitting there like, you know, and I forget about it. I'm pissed off. No, I didn't forget about it. I was pissed off. But, you know, I had already started messing with somebody else. Anyway, she comes back after 10 minutes and she goes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm like, sorry that you blew up on me? And she goes, no, I'm sorry because I realize you're right. I was just in the bathroom for all that time and I actually looked. You're right. There is a pee hole above my vagina hole. And that's where pee comes from. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, that's right. She's like, I'm sorry, I don't know how I didn't know that. I'm like, well, you know, I go, I mean, usually people figure this out very early on, but at the same time, you probably have a religious upbringing and you're told it's dirty down there, so you might not have just bothered to look. And she's like, yeah, that's accurate, you know. So, you know, religion, yay, so much for science. And that's understandable. That's understandable. It's weird. It's probably decently rare, but it's probably not as rare as you would hope. You know, social stigmatism, religious stigmatism, she just never bothered to look. I get it. So then, you know, you have something else that's more freaky to me than, well, almost as freaky. It's about the same, I'd say. You get guys who are homophobic in some fashion, even on some level, you know, and they're like, ew, gay people. I'm like, that's not too fair, though. I go, some of my best friends are gay. I mean, gay couples. I have a gay couple or two. I consider them good friends. They're good people. You know, they would die for me. You know, that kind of shit. And they're like, yeah, well, okay. But, you know, the butt. And I'm like, yeah, it's not really my thing. I go, but I kind of get it, I guess. And they're like, how could two men like the feel of their dick in someone else's ass? And I'm like, well, I mean, chicks don't seem to mind it in their ass. And they're like, ew, but poop comes from there. I'm like, so you've never stuck your dick in a chick's butt before? And they're like, no. They're like, why would a chick want that? I go, I don't really get it myself, because they don't have a prostate gland in there, you know? It's like, you know, that's kind of weird to me. I guess it all just bunches up and squishes, like that whole tract just squishes and then squishes against the vagina, squishing against the G-spot. I guess that's how it works. You know, it's like you're with a chick, you're slipping and sliding, you're popping out, you're popping in, all that fun stuff. And then, whoops, you start going into the butt. And they're like, no, not my ass, I don't like that. And you're like, oh shit, sorry. So you go back where you're supposed to be. And then, 5 minutes later, you feel a hand, boom, and you're like, well, it looks like someone was a dirty liar. as they totally get off to that. Anyway, so these homophobes, and these are men who are double my age. These are people in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, and they don't know their own anatomy. They go, what could a gay guy possibly want in a man's ass? And I'm like, well, there's the prostate gland. And they're like, huh? I'm like, the prostate gland, that thing that always gets cancer? And they're like, huh? I'm like, yeah, that thing's in there. And they're like, huh? And, and then I have to describe to them what the prostate gland is. I'm like, the prostate gland is that thing, and it builds up some kind of seminal type fluid type stuff. And when you get off, it squeezes and shoots it out. And that's how you blow your load, And they're like, in your ass? I'm like, yes, it's in your ass. I go, it's about an inch in. It's kind of like the G-spot on a chick, except it's your ass. And they're like, there is? I'm like, yes. They're like, what is it? And I'm like, well, it's this like squishy, almost like saggy feeling kind of thing. And they're like, well, why would gay people want to touch it? And I'm just like, oh shit. I'm like, because it feels good, I guess. And they're like, well, what's it feel like? And I'm like, you ever get stung by a bee or a wasp? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, it feels like, when a finger presses it, it feels like you're getting stung. Except it also makes you feel like you have to come really bad. And they're like, ew. I'm like, yeah, I know, it's fucked up. And it's like, I go, so... I mean, I'm not gay. I don't know if that's really what the thrill of being in another man's ass is, but if I had to guess, it would probably be the prostate gland. And they're like, I don't think I got that. I'm like, yeah, you have a prostate gland. You do. I go, that's what and I've done this to so many people. I'm like, that's your homework assignment. I go home, take a shower, get some privacy, I don't know, suck on your finger for a second and find it. Just find your prostate gland. You don't have to sit there and jerk off or whatever the fuck. You don't have to be too gay, because I know you're afraid of that. Just find your own prostate gland. The fucked up thing is I never get a follow-up on that. I get one of two things almost exclusively. I either get they come in and they give me weird looks, or that, possibly even combined with, just like, looking down, 100% unable to make eye contact with me, just a dog, tail between the legs, looking down like they did something bad, like they just ripped open garbage. It's like, I did a bad thing. I mean, granted, I don't think I've turned any heterosexual people into raging homosexuals or anything, but I've made them ponder possibilities, at least. Okay, anyway, that's understandable, I mean, once again, you have religious stigmatism, like, the butt's dirty, and, you have cultural stigmatisms, I mean, depending on what area you're from, gay people are like demons, I mean, now in this day and age, gay people are just gay people, And, I mean, the funny thing is, I mean, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but it's so silly, homophobia, isn't it? I mean, it's like, men have nipples for a reason. That's because we were all women. In the womb, we were all women. Every damn one of us. Every man and boy and everything. And some of us mutated, or some of us kept on mutating over into male. So, just on the law of averages, you're going to have some motherfuckers who fall in between that. I mean, one chick online, spread your lips, she has 2 vaginas inside. Damn. Another person, they're a boy on the outside, but they've got woman parts hiding on their insides. Damn. And I mean, it's only logical that that extends not just to physical attributes on the outside, but to chemical attractives in the mind. I mean, it's like, it's only the law of averages, just pure common sense, that there's going to be people who are somewhere in between male and female, pretty evidently. Everybody knows that one guy who's got like that really girly voice. Everybody knows that kind of person. Then you have guys that have ridiculously long hair. And then you have, I mean, just guys who like guys. Chemically, they're just geared towards dudes. I don't get it. I mean, I'm thankfully heterosexual, although I am jealous of bi people, I gotta say. Lucky bastards. But, I mean, it's just a common sense that there's gonna be gay people. Okay, I'm going way off base with this. Okay, getting back to this. I kind of understand why a guy, even someone in his 70s, might not realize what a prostate gland is. Because, I mean, for one thing, social stigmatism, religious stigmatism, and it's also one hell of a hand cramp. It's not something you do very often. I mean, I can't even count probably on my hands how many times I've done it, because it's just like, well, it's cute and all, but it's really hard to get to, so see you later. And I think I've only had one or two chicks who really knew their way around anything regarding that anyway, so, that too is, anyway, I'm saying way too much. A third thing. Okay, this is sort of like the other two, except it's a lot more annoying. I'm on a social media board a couple of years ago, and just like all these social media platforms have, there's always those secret boards where all the adults run and hide and play doctor and shit. And that's what we did, It was a bunch of people showing their nudes and stuff, and we were just having fun with it, and talking openly about sex and stuff. And, as is how these things work, it's a million guys showing their dicks, their stupid little silly bent things, their scrawny things, their clearly photoshopped, monstrous, horrible things. And then you get those 4 chicks who are just like free spirits who are carrying the board and doing all this cool stuff like, here, look at this, and everyone's like, shit, yeah, and everything's saved. All those penises are now erased from your memory, and you can look at the fun stuff. Anyway, it was one of those boards. And everything was pretty happy on there, and everybody was pretty cordial and nice on there and stuff. It's like, okay, nobody tell on anybody, nobody report anybody, and we can all keep having fun. It's like, cool, So one day, this man gets on there, and he fucked up. Oh boy, did he fuck up. He was asking a simple question, except he did it in the form of a statement, and rudely. He goes, you bitches want to tell all us guys that when you squirt, that's not pee. Bullshit! And it was not long before the gates opened and all the bees came out, because this guy got stung a million times. It was just a bunch of chicks like, they were freaking out on this guy. Now, it was ugly. It was a bloodbath. It was a bloodbath. And he's like, shut up for a second. Listen to me. He goes, I was with my girlfriend last night, hours ago. And, here it is, couple hours later, I have company over, it's heating up in here, and my bedroom is making my whole apartment smell like piss. And, he has a very valid observation there. He has his girlfriend squirt all over the place. His place smells like pee. It might be pee. But these chicks jump in there, and, to their credit, they're not talking bullshit either. They're like, look, it could be pee, or it could be, girly fluid mixed with a little bit of trace elements of pee, and that's true. That's absolutely true. No one's lying. Everybody's just being a complete asshole to each other. Granted, he did start it. So, smart boy I am, I'm like, I need to stay away from this shit. I go, I can't even hope to put my foot in the door here, or it will get chewed off by piranha. Because there is nothing worse than chicks who think they're right, even if they're wrong. I mean, I'm not saying they were wrong. And I'm not saying only chicks feel this way sometimes. I'm just saying, in my experience, predominantly, chicks thinking they're right will even start lying if they think that their narrative is being threatened. And then they do stupid shit like block you or delete you or get really vile. Or all of the above. So anyway, a week goes by. A week goes by of war. It's like, you know, you sign on there and every day a new chick is stepping into the topic and being like, huh? Pee? And it's just craziness, you know? And, you know, this went on. This kept on going on. And at the 7th day, I sign on and I look. No one's mentioned anything. You know, I'm like, looks like this has finally died out and the board can go back to normal and everybody's showing their junk and being nasty. And then one chick jumps in there and she's like, hey, this isn't... And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm like, maybe it's time for me to step into this. You know, because, like I said, the guy wasn't lying. The guy was making a decent scientific observation. It was sound. And what the chicks were saying was scientifically grounded in fact. Nobody was lying. Everybody was being a dickhole, but nobody was lying. And that's essentially what I said. I'm like, okay, I think we've all learned a little bit here, you know. I'm sure this man realizes now that it's not all pee. And I'm sure that you guys understand that if it smells like a duck and makes your apartment smell piss like a duck, it's probably pee. You know what I'm saying. You know, and I should have stopped right there. But am I smart enough to stop right there? No, I'm not. I thought I would go that extra little bit. And I go, okay, so it could be pee. It could be, you know, that squirting fluid, that Skene's gland or whatever that stuff's called, fluid, mixed with maybe a trace element of pee. Or it could be that yummy third option. That one that squirts out the cervix. Crickets chirp. And I'm like, no posts. And I'm like, uh-oh. Every passing minute, I'm like, oh shit, have I fucked up? And then... bullshit! And I'm like, oh God. I'm like, what? What? And they're like, hello, there is no anatomical apparatus for a woman to blow a load like a guy. I'm like, yeah, there is. And they're like, oh my God, no. We're women. All of us are women. We should know. And then you get a couple white knights in there who are like, yes, these women are saying accurate things and I back them up 100%. And I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. I'm like, you guys really don't know what I'm talking about when I say cervical squirting, right? Is that what you're saying? And they just launched into me like fucking boob missiles. It was just like, I was just getting pounded, ass pounded by boob missiles. It was just crazy. And, you know, finally one chick, you know, gets like sane for like maybe 5 seconds and she goes, okay, look, just for the sake of argument, describe what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, you're eating a chick out. And things are going very well. And when she starts to get off, when she starts to shudder, the second she comes, I'm guessing the cervix opens up and it's like, big fat load, just like a guy. Big fat yummy load hitting the back of your throat. Awesome. You know, just like a guy, tastes almost like a guy's, consistency almost of a guy's, shoots out in a big load like a guy's. That thing. That whatever it is. And she's like, bullshit. I'm like, oh, fuck. It's like, come on. I'm like, no one knows what I'm talking about. Really? And, you know, then the chicks, of course, as chicks often love to do. And, you know, I'm not trying to sound misogynist or sexist here, but holy shit, it is a thing with chicks. They hate being told wrong when they're wrong. Out come the credentials. I'm a doctor. I'm a nurse. I'm a gynecologist. I'm a marital aid sex therapist. And you're like, oh, for fuck's sakes. You know, I'm like, so all of you, all y'all, talking all this shit about how much you know about stuff. You know, you with the, who claims to have had 236 lovers. You know, you, specifically, not even the people with the credentials, but you don't know what I'm talking about. You've never had a guy eat you out and have you shoot off a big fat load. And they're like, it's not even physically possible. And I'm like, oh my God. They're like, you gotta stop it with these theories. And I'm like, it's not a theory. It's something I've had people do multiple times. Some chicks, you know, it doesn't always happen. Some chicks, it happens quite frequently. I go, not only that, when I'm doing that, I'm shooting for that. I'm like, come on, money shot. You know, I like that shit. It's fun. It's cute. It's hilarious. And slightly yummy. And it's like, you know, I'm like, it's not a theory. It happens. So one of these chicks who claims to be a doctor is like, the only way this could actually physically happen is if, and are you sitting down for this? Because I hope you are, because I had to be. You know, I think I launched off the couch 5 feet screaming bullshit. She goes, the only 2 ways I can think of this is if they've got an illness like an STD or if they have cancer. I'm like, holy shit, no. They're not dying and they're not shooting out cheese. They're getting off because they're happy, you know? And it's like, I'm just like, oh my God, what is happening here? Because, I mean, I'm on a board where people have had many lovers than I have, claiming to, and they're posting things and they're whipping out credentials I could only hope to achieve and have written down in law as having. These are people that you would really hope you could trust with this. And they don't know what I'm talking about. Not a fucking one knows what I'm talking about. And I'm like, that's not possible. It's not possible that not one of you women that have either jumped on me or are reading this know what I'm talking about. And there's also guys in there too. Weren't they ever eating anybody out and had this happen? I'm like, come on. One of you has to know what I'm talking about. And then the name calling starts. And, you know, whenever people are trying to prove themselves right, the lowest hanging fruit is grabbed, you know. And what I mean by lowest hanging fruit insults is like, you know, like someone calls you something so icky that like people just attach to it, you know. Someone's like, ew, pedo. And, you know, someone's like, they're not a pedo. Or it's like, ew, virgin. It's like, they're no virgin. You know, it's like, there's certain, I don't know, not biological, there's certain instinctual, lowest hanging fruit kind of things where people are like, they're just so kind of gross a concept that people latch onto it and they don't let go. Oh, it festers in their mind and makes their narrative just grow like in a big field in their head. And that's what happened here. One of the chicks is like, oh my God, you're a creeper. You don't know anything about sex and you're in here with us. I bet you're the one who reported what's-her-face, you know. And, you know, people are like, oh, maybe they reported what's-her-face. And then it's like, you know, another person's like, oh my God, you know nothing about sex. You must be a virgin. Oh, maybe he's a virgin. And I'm just like, oh my fucking God. So, just like with the man before me who was rude, even though I was being nice, a week went by of this shit. A week went by of me having my ass eaten out by beavers. And I was just like, I give up. The guy before me, by day 7, he gave up too. And I gave up too. I was just like, you know, I would come home from work and it would be like, you have 8 messages. And I'm like, ah, fuck. Butterflies in my stomach. I know damn well that that's some chick yelling at me, calling me stupid. You know. So day 7 comes by. Nothing's there. One chick comes in. And she goes, okay, I've been doing a little research. And I did find something called tenting. She got the name wrong, by the way. She goes, I did find something called tenting where the vagina muscles move around and the cervical area is shifted a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, and all the fluids in a vagina get into the cervix and shoot out like a cannon when they come. Very good. That's what I've been saying, you know? And it's like, silence. A day goes by. A second day goes by. Nothing. No one's posting anymore. And I jump in there, making very careful attention not to say the word bitches, even though I wanted to. I'm like, you motherfuckers. You cowardly motherfuckers. Not one of you that have been beating me up over this past week have come in to say I'm sorry, or at the very least toss me the bone of, I didn't know that. No one. I was like, you pussies. I was just blown away by that. I mean, I was blown away by the fact that people didn't know what I was talking about. And I was equally blown away by just how stereotypically negative characterization female everybody was acting by not coming in and at least admitting that they didn't know something and now they do. God, what is it with chicks? I'm trying not to sound sexist here, but it's just something I've observed over life. Chicks hate it when their narratives prove to be false. And, you know, anyway, once again, I kind of understand this. I kind of understand how women might not know about this. And it's unfortunate. I mean, one thing is, when you talk to a shitload of women, and I certainly have, when you're talking about frisky stuff, it's like, it is outright depressing how many chicks I've talked to who have said they've been, like, raped early on or molested or anything like that. And you know, some of the stories are just gut-wrenching, Hans, get the gas, we got some people to kill. You know, that kind of shit, you know. And it's like, you know, even if a fraction of the people that have told me these horror stories are telling the truth, even if a shitload are lying, it's still a fuck ton of people who have had horrible shit happen to them. And, you know, I understand, you know. And similarly with this, it's like, I've had a lot of women say that their sex lives are kind of shit with the people they're with, you know. And when it comes to oral, oh my God. Like, I mean, you know, you talk to a chick who's had kids, you talk to a chick who's had kids and had a lot of sex, and they're like, I never get orgasms from guys, or I never get orgasms from oral, and you're like, what? It's like, what? It's a concept I don't quite understand, and I'm not even trying to be funny here and like say I'm like some big smack you in the side of the head meat swinger here. I'm just saying, I mean, if you're a guy and you put your mouth down there and you're messing with somebody, why are you leaving before you've accomplished something? I just don't get that. But it's like, you know, I mean, I can understand how a chick might not know what I'm talking about, you know, in this case, because if they're not with people who know how to do oral, then there's not going to be a witness to something shooting down the back of their throat, is there? You know? I mean, it could be that some of these women are actually cervical squirting and not realizing it, you know? I mean, they could just be having missionary or whatever, and you know, it's like they're squirting on it, but no one knows because there's not a camera in there, you know? But when you're a dude and you actually have your face down there, I guess you're the only witness to... Or preferably with the mouth open, of course. But, you know, it's like, I can kind of get how that might not be as known. But here's the thing that blows my fucking mind. Go online. Try to find this shit. I can't. Like, that chick said the word tenting. She's almost right, but she's not. Tenting is where the vaginal muscles and I guess muscles around the cervix or whatnot, or something like that, all are contorting and making ready for a big old fat dick to slide in there. That's understandable. But, I mean, that doesn't describe what I'm describing. I'm describing the act whereby the cervix at orgasm goes and shoots all over you. And it's not pee because it's coming from nowhere near the pee hole. It's pure vaginal yumminess. It's you know, it's not pee in any way, shape, or form. You know, you can't find a name for it. There's no name online for this. I've looked. I mean, what do I call it? It's like, I mean, it's the year 2019. I should not be having this much trouble online trying to find a name for this. I mean, it's a chick having her cervix open and blow like a dude does. What's the name for that? I don't know. I can't find a scientific name for it. Maybe it's in some other language, in some other medical journal. I don't know. I can't even find a slang word for it. There's no slang word for it. What the fuck? Does anyone watching this know what the word is? I can't find it. And I really feel bad because I know that some of you care enough about something so pervy or not, well, just sexually curious to actually go on Google like I have and try to find this yourself. And I've just doomed you to possibly days of nothing, of not finding anything, just as I have not. Sorry about that. Sorry for party rocking. But it's like, you know, yeah, I can't find a name for it. I think from now on, when somebody asks me what it's called, I'm just going to be like, oh, that's a Jinzoblast. Yeah, that's when a chick Jinzoblasts. Yeah. And then, you know, they'll be like, really? I'm like, yeah, that's the name of the person who found it. That's the name of the person who discovered it. It's called Jinzoblast. You know. That'd be so great if it's like Encyclopedia Dramatica has that show up at like some point. Jinzoblast, when a chick has an orgasm and shoots out her cervix. I don't know. It'd just be hilarious. But yeah, I mean, if anybody watching this knows the name of that, please tell me. You know, because I hate trying to talk about that and not have any way to have anything for somebody to search on it. Because even just if you type squirting or female ejaculation, all you're going to get is stuff about the pee hole. You're only going to see stuff about the pee hole. I mean, it's weird. That's weird. And it's like, you have to understand, it is something that doesn't happen every time either. It's like, okay, guys watching this, you know how it is. You know, you're jerking off, and it's intense, and you're like, oh my god, by the time I blow, I'm gonna need fucking Noah's Ark for all the shit that's gonna happen. And you're like, what the fuck was that? It was like, what was that, like, it was like as much, like, jizz that you would get in, like, one of those little chewy gum candies. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, that was bullshit, you know? And then another time, you'll be jerking off, and you're like, I got like 5 minutes before I gotta go to work, I'll just take care of this. And it goes shooting across, hits the wall, or hits you in the hair, or your mouth is open and then you hit yourself in the back of the throat with the shit. It's happened more than once. Probably too many times. And it's like, you know, you never know what you're going to get. And the same thing applies to this, because, you know, I mean, you'll be there with some intense type shit going on with someone, and, you know, they start to get off, and it's like, and you're like, oh shit, you know. And another time they're having a massive amount of fun, and it's, you know, it just doesn't happen. And one thing that's interesting is, even with people who have had it happen, that have been able to make do that, it doesn't mean that they're always going to, you know. It's kind of random. I mean, just like a guy jizzing, you really don't know what you're going to be pumping out. I also wonder if possibly not every chick can do it, maybe? Maybe that's adding to the complexity of this, because, I mean, there are one or two chicks that I haven't been able to make do it, even if I've made all the other ones do it. You know what I mean? So maybe it's just like, well, I mean, take Ron Jeremy. Take that old fat porn star Ron Jeremy. I mean, why was he even popular? Why? Not because he was anything to talk about. It's because he blew a massive fucking load. That was his claim to fame. I'm there talking to a relative at work one day about porn. back, what was it, fucking 1998 or 1997 or some shit. And it's like, yeah, there's this one guy in porn and he's not really that good at it, but I can't remember his name. He just shoots a giant load. Oh, Ron Jeremy, And it's like, that's the claim to fame. And it's like, I don't even know where I'm going with that. But, it's like, it could be that there's some chicks who just don't have that, Just like I'm sure there's some guys who don't have big loads ever, I don't know. I'm just guessing. And, I guess there's not much else to say about this. There is one thing I like. Well, I mean, no, I love it when someone does it. It's yummy. But I get sidetracked so fast. There is this one porn star I like for a specific reason. It's like I've never been one of those guys who idolize an actress. I mean, even actors. It's like, oh, this guy was in a movie. He was funny. Oh, that chick had good-looking boobs in that. That was neat. But I never seek out that person's body of work just to see them. It's like I've never been an idolizer. It's like chicks put posters of guys that they think are cute on their fucking wall and shit. It's like I'm more nerdy. I have non-people type things around. But it's like there's this one porn actress, and it's not like an emotional attraction, I mean, granted, she does a damn good job of, whether she's faking orgasm or not, I don't know, but she's putting on a good show in any case. But what piques my interest about her is she perfectly physically shows what I'm talking about. I mean, she is good looking, and she is making some nice sounds, and she is feral and wild enough that it's pretty damn cool. But she also happens to squirt, and it's not pee. It's coming from the cervix, and holy shit, the volumes that are squirting out. And that's impressive. It's as impressive as it is hot. And it's like, if you want to search her, her name is Vanie. Vanie. And the sad thing is, she only has anywhere from 38 to maybe an hour of content online anywhere. But in every one of her videos that she's done, just quick little cam videos apparently somewhere at some point in time. She might not even be alive anymore. This girl cannot stop doing this cervical squirting that I'm talking about. And it's really interesting to watch. It's like, because it's not pee. It's not coming from there, Anyway, I think I've said enough. So yeah. Subscribe, support me financially if you want. There's links there for that. And happy hunting for the Jinzoblast. May you have many Jinzoblasts in your future. Bullshit. Oh, fuck. Come on.